Hello and welcome, one and all, to the AOR Pro Mazda Championship. It's round 4 of the second season from the Temple of Speed at Monza, the latest circuit to be added to iRacing. My name is Justin, and I'm joined today by Crekkan.
Yes, hello, it's great to be back. I'm filling in for Joe since he can't make it, and hopefully going to have another great race here at one of the most iconic circuits, especially in Europe.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one for sure. Very interesting circuit. It's going to, of course, be the first time the league is racing at this circuit because it is so new. Last time out, though, Phil Reed took the win from Justin Brunner, even though Brunner crossed the line first because Brunner received a 10-second penalty for not putting fuel in his car during his mandatory pit stop. Brunner still leads the championship after his third consecutive podium out of 3 races, though, and Nolden's DNF in the second consecutive race is dropping him right down the championship order. Enough about the last race, though. Let's find out what happened in today's qualifying session, starting with the side-by-side comparison.
So in today's qualifying comparison, we have Alexander Trowbridge for Crekkan GP on the left-hand side of your screen, and on the right-hand side of the screen is Gino van den Broek for the ACR team. And running now down the very long straight, past the start-finish line and turning their attentions towards turn 1 and 2, the first variante, and picking their braking zones now coming into the first corner. Trowbridge having to negotiate a lot of traffic, as does Van den Broek, both of them hitting their apexes beautifully, as Van den Broek has to negotiate a car that's gone off the circuit on his right-hand side, but now coming through the famous Curva Grande corner, through the shadows and turning their attentions towards the second variante at turns 4 and 5. Both of the drivers negotiating a lot of traffic on this lap, but obviously both of them being able to get the slipstream, and at this point you can see that Trowbridge is a long way ahead, so he's obviously benefited from that slipstream, but once again both the drivers hitting their apexes nicely before coming towards the famous turn 6 and 7. Yes, of course, the 2 Lesmos coming into the first one. Looks as if Trowbridge maybe turned in a little bit earlier, and of course both of them using a lot of the exit curb, which they can do so. And once again Trowbridge taking maybe a little bit of a tighter line, but Van den Broek most certainly in the slipstream of the couple of cars he has ahead of him, and he will be definitely getting that slipstream coming through Curva del Seraglio, but it is still Trowbridge who's looking as if he's ahead, coming towards the braking zone for Variante Ascari, and you can see that already Trowbridge has reached the curbing and has taken that corner beautifully. Van den Broek in the turbulent air of the car ahead, and once again both the drivers using that exit strip that is available to them on the right hand side. Just one more corner left now, that is the famous Parabolica corner. Of course, this circuit filled with famous turns, but it is still Trowbridge leading, and once again he takes a little bit of slipstream from the car ahead, taking a very tight line. Van den Broek choosing to use a little bit more of the outside of the track, and now on the run to the line, Trowbridge still using that slipstream, and that is definitely what got him this qualifying comparison. He'll be lining up on 5th, and that is what 0.6 of a second looks like in the AOR Pro Mazdas. So it was Justin Brunner who took pole position for today's race, and he has now got 4 front row starts from the opening 4 rounds of the season, and will share the front row of the grid with Tom van Dorn for the SDC team. He edged out Jamie Fluke by the narrowest of margins, the gap between those two drivers being 5/1000ths of a second. Tom van Dorn's teammate Andreas Merch will start from 4th position in a race where SDC Motorsports will be looking for a very, very good points haul. Alexander Trowbridge, one of the drivers who we saw in the qualifying comparison earlier on, will start from 5th alongside Oliver Connor on row 3. Kerry Nolden, the Season 1 champion, will start from 7th place, and he is in fact the highest qualifying Team AOR driver, and he'll share the 4th row of the grid with Marcus Jensen for Red Devolution Racing. Jensen's teammate Peter Newman will start from 9th alongside Stephen Chantal for British Canadian Racing in 10th. Phil Reed will start from 11th in a disappointing qualifying session for the winner last time out, and he'll start alongside Patrick White on row 6. Christoph Leister and Nigel Spears make up the 7th row of the grid, with Gino van den Broek sharing the 8th row of the grid with Michael Mittner. Of course, we saw Gino van den Broek's qualifying lap earlier on, and his teammate Timu Valchiavi only produced a lap that was good enough for 17th place, and will share the 9th row of the grid with Daniel Baxter in the 2nd British Canadian racing car. Leanne Robinson will start 19th alongside Daniel J. Morris, who rounded out the top 20. 21st is Nut Martinson with Steve Kagura in 22nd, and Robert Plumley and Frederick Johansson will line up on row 12 for today's race. There are just 29 runners in today's race, with Jamie Hall, William Bush, Vittorio Saltalamarchi, Evan Imre and Alexander Von Rumpe rounding out the drivers, with Van Rumpe being very, very disappointed with his qualifying lap, only producing a lap that was 3.5 seconds off the eventual pole time. But that's enough of the talking, and now it's time to get on to the race. I hope you enjoy it.
It's race time from Monza. Championship leader, we can see there, Justin Brunner, starting from pole position for the second time this season. Sharing the front row with him is Tom Van Dorn in his second race of the season. And for the second race running, Nolden starts from a surprising 7th position. Of course, he had some troubles last time out at Circuit of the Americas. We've got all the cars on the grid now. We've got the red lights. We're just waiting for them to turn green. Waiting, and there they go. They are green, and everybody is away. It looks like one of the AOR red cars, though, pulling away off to the side in the background. It does look like a clean start. However, Tom Van Dorn coming under attack, actually. That does look like Jamie Fluke, and it does look like Jamie Fluke has moved up into 2nd position before even braking for the first corner. Fantastic job by Jamie Fluke there, and that is Kerry Nolden spinning at the first corner. He is going the exact wrong way, actually, and he is down into last position. Or very close to it. I'm not sure what happened with that AOR red car at the start of the race, so Nolden now down into last position, or second to last. Having a look at Gino Vandenbroek at the moment. He is running behind Nigel Spears and also Michael Mittner as we come into the second chicane. And, oh no, and there's a big accident there with one of the team.
That's
oh no! And that's Imre. The other Team Tortoise car as well. Both Team Tortoise cars appear to have taken significant damage to their cars. I don't know if they're out of this race yet, just yet, but certainly that is going to be really, really bad for their race performance. It's going to be very tough to bounce back from that, if they bounce back at all. Having a look at Tom Van Dorn now. He started in 2nd place. He's lost even more positions at the start of this race. He's down into 5th position now, and this is a very exciting first lap here, Crekkan.
Oh, definitely. I don't know what happened with Johansson, but he must have had some sort of contact because his car just violently speared off into the left, into the wall, and that caught out Evan Imre, as all these drivers now using so much of a curb, even clipping onto the grass and the gravel as they go down the back straight. The toe acting so strong is Oliver Connor. He's trying to spice it up with the SDC Motorsport drivers, having a great race as Liam Robinson looking. Oh, and there's been contact. Gino Vandenbroek's been hit, and he's not moving, but of course he's got all that traffic going by. I wonder what's going to happen to him. And of course now we're looking back. That's Liam Robinson. Obviously he survived the crash, and we've just got a gaggle of cars fighting, and of course just a battle for 15. There's so many cars, the graphics can't even cope. And there's Timo Vakayapi, who's obviously survived that, and he's probably going to be the only ACR car left. And yeah, a stunning first lap as incidents galore.
Yeah, and Valkyarvi taking that position, moving up ahead of Michael Mittner, and having a look now at Marcus Jensen, who had a good race at Circuit of the Americas, had some problems with track limits and stuff like that, which probably kept him off of the podium. But here's the battle for 4th.
Connor's been tagged. He's been tagged. It looks like it's just mayhem again. I think the toe.
That was Jensen.
Yeah, the toe's really catching up the drivers. As we're looking on board with Stefan Chantel, who is really capitalizing from these errors. Now we just got another gaggle of cars entering and exiting the Lesmos, as Phil Reed, he's trying to recover, as Marcus Jensen, I think he's pulling off to the side. He seems to be slowing down, and his teammate Pete Newman is taking advantage from that. I don't know what's happening there. I think Marcus Jensen must have got a corner cut when he went over all those curbs. But that's a bunch of over cars. Hopefully they don't make contact as we enter Ascari.
Wow, 2x2 through Ascari, absolutely amazing, and not a contact between any of those cars. And I spoke too soon. Michael Mittner, he comes back across the track, and he's made contact with another car. He's in the middle of the circuit, creating a mobile chicane that the other drivers have to avoid, and that is even more. That is Patrick White for Carbon Racing.
I think that's Connor as well, who's crabbing. I think he's out of the race as well. Oh no, it's the top. Sartali Maki has had an engine blow up. Everything is happening. We're only on lap 3. This is insane action here at Monza.
And that is good news for Kerry Nolden there, though, as we could see him trying to make his way, navigate his way through these back markers, essentially, at least in comparison to Kerry Nolden. He's trying to find a way through the field. He's got the inside line. We've got some more battling up at the front as well. Teemu Valkjärvi looking like maybe he was going to have a look at the inside line, and he's coming back at him, and there's been contact. There's been contact. Valkjärvi off the circuit. He's going to lose numerous positions as a result of that.
I think that was Phil Reed tagging Liam Robinson. It's a shame we didn't get a close look, but that's definitely Robinson having a very, very bad time. He's probably already had a bit of damage on the front wing, but now he's been dropped back all the way behind these cars as we just look at this great camera angle of all these cars rushing past into this chicane. It's just a gaggle of cars again, and there's so many just all close together trying to find a way past, but the tow each of them are receiving is going to probably make it very difficult to make an overtake stick, as we're looking at board of Jamie Hall from Mazda Motorsport. A new team formed between him and William Bush at number 59, so hopefully they can have a good race and capitalize on all of these incidents which are occurring right now.
Yeah, it's lap 3, and just now is the field starting to spread out and to a point, or I was going to say to a point where it's single file, but as we can see here on the run down to Ascari, lots of side-by-side action going on into this very high-speed chicane. Wonderful bit of circuit, fantastic camera work as well in this race here today. Loving the angles that we're getting from these cars as they come down now towards the Parabolica, the final corner of this circuit, of course, and it does look like we've got one of the McLaustas going on the inside. We can see Kerry Nolden in the background there as well. Here's Christoph Leiser going through, and he is just ahead of Jamie Hall in that new McLausda livery there. I'm sure I will say that team name wrong at some point. And but once again, though, we can see Kerry Nolden in the background there. Sort of leading this group, though, we can see is Nigel Spears with a little bit of a gap ahead of him. His teammate Steve Kager a little bit further back, but it is very, very tight in this group. Robert Plumley involved as well there. Robert Plumley, though, coming under attack from Kerry Nolden, but he hangs it. He's not going to be put off by the reigning championship champion whatsoever. Teemu Valkjärvi now getting a fantastic run through that first chicane. It does look like he is actually going to move past Kerry Nolden, who is possibly being boxed in with Robert Plumley there. I'm not sure if, and here comes Kagerer up onto the back of that group as they all come streaming by this very low camera as they come into the second chicane now on lap 4. Kerry Nolden trying to claw his way back up to the front of the field and salvage what he can from this race. Teemu Valkjärvi, ditto for him. He's trying to do his best and see if he can claw back. I thought he was going to get Kerry Nolden there, though, but no, Kerry holds him off, and now Kerry can focus on Robert Plumley ahead. Go ahead and talk us through these replays here, Crekkan.
Well, it's unfortunate, but we have to cut away from the action, but we have to look at the replay. It's almost an addition here, and again, it's a clean start mostly. Heading into the first corner, everyone seems to be okay. There's some blinking, some lag out there, but as the cars all compact and bunch up, there seem, of course, the potential for incidents is high. I think that was Kerry Nolden tagging an ACR Crekkan GP car. And again, he has to recover. He's all the way back down, but he's making an excellent recovery so far. And this is on board with Kerry Nolden. We can see exactly what happened. Okay, so he seemed to hit Trowbridge, who had a very good qualifying compared to his main team, Avid Chronic Racing. And what exactly happened here? Oh, I think Kerry just misjudged what was going on there, and of course that sent him all the way back down. But of course he's not just the Season 1 champion for nothing. And here we go, Martinson all the way near the back. He jumped the start. So I don't know whether there was something wrong with his clutch, but then he pulls off to the side.
Gotcha.
So he just lets the others by, and of course he's going to have a drive-through penalty for that. That's just a given. That's how the iRacing system works. And here we go. Okay, I think this is from lap 3. This is Merck behind his team. Van Dorn, he's getting really out of shape. He hits the gravel, and oh, he's lost it, and he's hit the wall, and I think that is it. And yes, he has disappeared off into the pits. And this is Jamie Fluke. I think this was on lap 4, and he just nearly tagged the back of the race leader Brunner, who is looking for his first win and another podium. He'll about be like I think that'll be the fourth different winner in a row. And this is the incident between Robinson and Van den Broek. We're going to leave it to the stewards to make that decision. But that is under investigation, causing an unavoidable incident. That could go either way. You could say that Brock turned in or Robinson dive-bombed. but we'll see what happens later on as we look at this battle for 14th. Graphics guy doing a good work keeping count of where all the positions are. It's a definitely difficult job with all these drivers. Robert Plumley leading this group. This is at Peter Newman with Timo Valkyarvi just behind. And again, there does seem to be groups forming now as certain cars just find brakes, and of course you can see like Daniel Baxter, Daniel Morris making their own little group, and then we got Jamie Hall making his, and that's Kerry Norden behind Christoph Leiser trying to make his way up as Robert Plumley actually manages to stick it around, stick it inside of Peter Newman, who made the overtake on the straight, but can you make it stick? Can you get the position back? I'm not too sure, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. Of course, Valkyarvi can pick up the pieces if anything bad happens.
Yeah, and I think actually they went side by side through the Parabolica. Valkyarvi, of course, taking the normal racing line. I think he carried a lot more speed onto that start-finish straight, and as well as getting the slipstream. So Valkyarvi could be taking 2 positions heading into turn 1. But right now we are focused on the leaders at the moment, or a little bit further up the grid, of course. Nigel Spears, followed by Alexander Trowbridge. Phil Reed in the leading AOR blue car at the moment. Timo Valkyarvi currently does have Leanne Robinson just behind him. Hopefully we won't see any further contact between Leanne Robinson and any of the ACR cars.
I think Kerry just made a double overtake in the foreground there of Jamie Hall and Christoph Leister. That was very impressive that was the case, and he's moving further up. I think he'll be in 10th position now, as the ticker seems to indicate, as Robert Plumley, he's just heading this gaggle of cars. And it might be worth noting, Nigel Spears for North Atlantic Racing and Backmarkers having a very good race at Monza. ACR Crekkan GP also having a good race. They're usually stuck in the midfield, but Alexander Trowbridge is carrying that team and trying to score some points and try and stick it to the main team, ACR Avikronic Racing. And speaking of Avikronic Racing, you've got Timo Valkyarvi stuck in there with Peter Newman trying to get past Liam Robinson, but he just can't make it stick, and Robinson trying to recover himself and starting close. I think he was starting in the top 10, or at least close to it, and I think something's happened to a car. There's a car pulling off to the side. There must have been a corner car. That's Christoph Leister for Ellen Rennsport. So I wonder what's happening there, as Robinson's looking to make a move, and Valkyarvi and Christoph Leister trying to slot back in, and Peter Newman not making any positions there. That's going to be a shame for him, and Christoph Leister trying to recover from that corner cut as Robinson is on the outside of him. That would be the inside if he can make it stick, but of course he's not getting a toe, and he actually does slot back in to Christoph Leister's toe as he now slips out of Timu's toe. And this is an amazing battle for 12 as Robert Plumley pulls away. Can Christoph Leister overtake? It looks like he has. So, oh no, Timu's trying to hold it on. No, he can't. And I think there was some contact there. Not too sure, but this is a very interesting battle, and there is confirmation. Liam Robinson does get a 20-second time penalty for the incident. That's going to be added on at the end of the race. I don't think he's going to learn about that until afterwards, so he's just going to drive as normal. But that is a shame, but of course that is the steward's decision, and I don't think there's much else to comment on that.
No, yeah, there's no arguing with the stewards. Obviously, there is more than one. It's a decision that they came to as a group, so there's really not much that can be done about that. Obviously, with the iRacing system, very easy to see for yourself. Everything that happened. You don't really have to get an onboard view from somebody. Everything is there, plain as day, for the stewards to see. And I mean, they can go in there, they can rewind it, slow it down, they can see it from any angle they want, and so those decisions are pretty much set in stone. Timo Valkyarvi, though, the only remaining Avid Chronic Racing car in this race as it stands right now, and he is still being chased down, though, by Leanne Robinson, who, as you mentioned, does not have any clue, of course, that he has that 20-second time penalty just yet, so he's going to be pushing very hard. You can see the gap that Kerry Nolden is beginning to build to the rest of these cars. It is staggering how quickly he is pulling away from this field. I think the same lap that he made that double overtake, he had already gotten Robert Plumley out of that draft. It's a very long straight here at Monza. Of course, no surprise really that the field is a little bit closer. There's only 11 turns at Monza, and several of those are chicanes, which you would maybe even count as one turn, depending on who you ask. So it's a little bit easier to stick with the front-running guys at a circuit such as Monza. They're just noticing Teemu has his obligatory wing damage that he seems to get every single race already. Not even a third of the way through this race yet. Teemu already suffering from a little bit of aerodynamic damage. He is running right behind that LM Rennsport car. Robert Plumley, though, seems to be doing a fantastic job, actually, for Conducci Racing of keeping these guys behind. You would expect, being at the front of the pack, that he would be struggling as the only car in this group that is not getting a slipstream. But Robert Plumley doing a fantastic job, currently just outside of the top 10. It's going to be difficult for him to get into the top 10 because, once again, you could see that gap to Nolden just growing and growing as the seconds tick by. But again, a fantastic performance from Plumley here. He's not even driving all that defensive. He's not really covering off any lines or anything. He really just seems to be focusing on the corners, the corner exits before coming onto the straights. He seems to have enough of a gap at the start of the straights to really just defend. Although I'm not sure this time, it doesn't look like he carried very much speed through Ascari there. He might be coming under attack. We can see Teemu Valkjärvi already moving out of the slipstream. He's going to have that inside line for the Parabolica. Christoph Leiser as well, very, very close. And actually, Christoph Leiser is ahead of... No, yeah, he's still ahead of Teemu Valkjärvi. Look like Teemu may be going to have a look there. And now we're moving on to this group up at the front. This is Nigel Spears, Daniel Baxter, and company. There are several cars in this group here. Nigel Spears doing a fantastic job as well, just like Robert Plumley, possibly a little bit out of position, doing very well in this race here, though. Alexander Trowbridge as well. It's very, very tight in this group, but we could see as they were coming into that first chicane, Kerry Nolden is catching this group. He is definitely catching them, and it's going to be very exciting to see him try and navigate through these cars.
Oh, definitely. I mean, going back to Plumley, I think his speed, his ease of basically not really defending, it might be due to him running lower downforce. Of course, you can always put a bit more downforce on your front wing to try and get through the corners a bit quicker. But if you sacrifice some about proper straights, I mean, you don't really have to defend much. You have to just focus on getting a good exit speed as we look on to these drivers. From what we've heard from the pit lane, it looks like AOR Blue are talking to Phil Reed on the comms, and Phil Reed is saying that he's got some damage which is affecting a straight line speed, so that must have been from earlier contact during the race, so that's probably why he's stuck behind those drivers. But Nigel Spears definitely outperforming is a North Atlantic Racing car. Again, they're usually stuck at the bottom of the field, as we've seen in Barber and in Kota as well. So this is definitely a fantastic race and a great opportunity for these low to midfield teams to score some points for these vital positions, getting the top 10. We've got this would be 18 teams if we don't, even if we count Phil Blythe Motorsports, which hasn't been running since Interlagos, as Nigel Spears pits early by the looks of things, so he's running on a different tactic. It'll be interesting to see what happens as Peter Newman into the wall. I think he's going to be out. That's a disaster for him. And yeah, that's another Red Devolution racing car out of the race and having difficulties. As we're looking again, this is still the battle for 5th. But Nigel Spears has pitted, and that's that's Daniel Baxter trying to get past Trowbridge, and Phil Reed is taking advantage of that. Daniel Baxter heading into the gravel there. So can Phil Reed possibly make even a double overtake? He's in a good position, but again, it looks like that straight line speed, he is getting compromised there. I think he's just going to have to use his talent. I mean, he's high up in the standings. He's had a really good season compared to Kerry Norden. So I wonder what he can do. And it looks like Phil Reed has done it. Oh yeah, he's just got past. He's got past Daniel Baxter. So now he's just going to get past Trowbridge, and then he'll be in 5th position. So again, Phil Reed, he's trying to recover for Team AOR Blue. Kerry Norden, also trying to recover. I think you might see him in the background as we go into Robert Plumley. This is battle for 11th. Christoph Weister and Liam Robinson. I think Teemu Valkjärvi is also pitted early.
Yep, and of course the fuel levels have changed for this race. I know you. I hate to. And I've heard something in the background there. It sounded like there was contact or an engine blowing. It sounded like something behind this group, but I'm not entirely sure. But of course, the fuel regulations have changed. Oh my gosh, and just as we try to talk about regulations, Robert Plumley gets it all wrong at the entrance to Ascari. That is going to cost him 2 positions and possibly cause significant damage to the floor of his car, which, as we know, is very important for the aerodynamics. And in the background there, we see one of the North Atlantic racing cars as well. I'm not sure if that's Nigel Spears or Steve Kagerer, but one of them. Yeah, Kagerer getting really out of shape at the exit of Ascari. So it does seem that the Ascari turning out to be a bit of a challenge for these guys. Phil Reed, though, still hanging on to the back of Alexander Trowbridge. Maybe he can hang back for just long enough for us to explain. So if you want to talk us through this, Crekkan, I do believe the fuel levels, the maximum fuel that you can put in the car, has been reduced since Circuit of the Americas.
Yes, following what happened with at the Circuit of Americas, with the fuel load being pretty much at the standard 5.7 gallon fuel limit being too much. The regulation has now changed, so it's 4.6 gallons from here on out, and this is in response to the cars being a bit slower due to the changes in the suspension, which has knocked about 2 to 3 seconds off the cars. They're still pretty quick for these types of cars, but of course that means you're probably doing a lap less than usual, at least less time, so they're actually saving fuel. So to combat this, regulations have been changed. It's now 4.6 gallons of fuel limited instead of 5.7, and that will probably affect how the racing will be in the coming races. Supposedly Suzuka is coming up soon. That's going to be a very tough race. It's a very long lap, a very long race, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in circuits like that as we head further into the season.
Yep, and we were just having a look there at Leon Robinson, who is still hanging on to that position ahead of Christoph Leisler. And we're moving back up to the battle for 5th. Alexander Trowbridge, Phil Reed still going at it. Phil Reed does have that very visible front wing damage, but something tells me that is not the damage that is actually hindering him on the straights. I don't think that front wing damage is actually what's causing him to be slow in the straights. I would venture a guess that it's probably something mechanical, but here he is moving up the inside at turn 1 on Alexander Trowbridge. But just look how much later Trowbridge brakes versus Phil Reed, and he's able to hang it around the outside, get that inside line for the second part of the chicane, and hold on to that position. Of course, Phil Reed now going to get a very nice tow on this very, very long run through the Curva Grande all the way down to the second chicane. Here he is pulling out of the slipstream once again, but does he have the straight line speed and the braking capability to try and overtake him? And he does. He's done it this time. The same location that he did it last time. Phil Reed at the second chicane, moving up yet another position. Fantastic job from him. It's going to be interesting, though, to see if he can hang on to that position, because of course Trowbridge, without any major damage to his car, is going to be much quicker on the straight, and combined with that slipstream and the fact that Phil Reed has gone right off the circuit, Alexander Trowbridge takes the position straight back from him, and Phil Reed's going to have to do it all over again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have to be slightly biased, but that is my team that Trowbridge is driving for, so hopefully he can hold on against Phil Reed there. But this has brought Daniel Morris and Daniel Baxter, 2 Daniels there, right behind.
Couple of Daniels.
Yeah, so these 2 drivers are going to have to look out for the Daniels here as they're closing up for this battle.
Kerry Nolden.
Yes, Kerry Nolden, he's just there menacingly. I wonder what's going on in the pit board between the Team AOR Blue drivers there, as Phil Reed, he's trying desperately. I think he's really trying desperately to get past Alexander Trowbridge. I think he does have better pace, he just has that little bit of damage hindering him. And of course Trowbridge's ability to brake, as that's Daniel Baxter into the pits in the background. You can also see Kerry Nolan again, and now Phil Reed is having to contend with Daniel Morris, who's looking to overtake him on the inside, heading into the first corner, into the first chicane. Will Daniel Morris actually overtake Trowbridge as well? He's looking to overtake Trowbridge. Can he make it stick? Trowbridge goes really deep into the corner, and Morris is still there. Morris is catching onto the gravel, and Morris has got the inside, and I think he's made the overtake stick, but Trowbridge is hanging on. Phil Reed is waiting just in case anything bad happens, and I think Trowbridge is having a bit of lag there, so that's going to be a bit deterring for Phil Reed. And I think Daniel Morris has made the move stick. He's made a double overtake in about 2 and 3 corners.
Wow, that was fantastic driving and fantastic racing from all involved there. That was among the best racing we've seen all season, if you ask me. And we've seen some fantastic racing this season. Phil Reed, though, definitely the underdog here, not in terms of skill, but in terms of car performance. We're past the halfway point of this race, so you got to get to a point pretty soon here where you're wondering why Phil Reed has not come into the pits yet. He's got to pit for fuel anyway. Why not just come in, get that damage fixed on his car, get the fuel in the car, and see if maybe he can undercut these guys during the pit stop phase? Because as you can see, menacingly in the background there is Kerry Nolden, Phil Reed's teammate. Kerry Nolden, Strobridge goes very wide there at the exit of Sakari, but Nolden, I think he might just about be in slipstream range, and with Phil Reed struggling on the straights, especially as Morris and Trowbridge now going side by side. Trowbridge with the inside line at the Parabolica, and it does look like he is going to make that move stick. Yeah, he sure does. And here comes Phil Reed actually on Morris. He's got that inside line, but once again, I see Morris pulling, and there it is. So Phil Reed having to slot back in behind Morris.
Just pitted. He's disappeared from the background, so that's an interesting development. What I should say about these three drivers is that this is helping Nigel Spears as Daniel Morris retakes a position, because Spears pitted early. He's really gone heavily over those sausage curbs. I wonder if that's damaged him. He's definitely going to get a corner cut warning, and he's going to have to slow down. But that's hurt his ambitions for 5th. Of course, he's got a good chance of catching back up. But this is really helping out Nigel Spears. I wonder where he's going to be after all this, because these three drivers are really holding each other up with this battling.
Yeah, certainly. They are not putting in very quick or consistent lap times with all of this side-by-side action that they're forcing on themselves. It does look like Morris is still hanging in there, though. Phil Reed carrying an incredible amount of speed.
He's actually made
through that second chicane. Yeah, and he's flown right by Trowbridge as if he was standing still. But here comes Trowbridge right at the exit of the first Lesmo there. He starts coming back at him, but no, Phil Reed does look like he's going to hang on to that position. And there's Jamie Fluke in another red Devolution car, and he's gotten it all wrong at Ascari. Once again, Ascari is proving to be very difficult for these Star Mazdas. Jamie Fluke was running in 2nd position when this happened, and that is very unfortunate for Jamie. He is going to be absolutely gutted about that as we're into the second half of this race. And here's our race leader, Brunner, and you can see just what a lonely race he's driving at the moment.
It's a dominating race. I've never seen a gap, especially on this track. I mean, the amount of slipstream you get, and he's got such a massive gap to 2nd, which is now occupied by Tom Van Dorn for the SDC Motorsports, having a great race. It's only his 3rd race in the league, 2nd of the season, and he's looking for a podium, 2nd. And that's another driver pitting, and that's Trowbridge pitting Phil Reed, leaving it very late, trying to get as much slipstream as possible, because he knows Daniel J. Morris is just going to glide right by him. I mean, he's already looking for the overtake. I think he's already overtaken him.
There he goes.
So Phil Reed has some serious issues with his downforce. That damage is really killing and scrubbing off his speed, especially when he leaves the toe or if he's not got one.
You know, he seems all right in the corners, so I don't know if maybe one of his tires is tilted to one direction or another, because it really just seems the straights is where he's struggling. In fact, I mean, he seems to be dominant over the cars around him once they actually get to the corners, but as soon as they get to the straights, he just loses out immediately. So it is 77 versus 44 once again. Yeah. Phil Reed running very, very wide there.
They're using a lot of the curbing. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, they're taking chunks out of the curbing. We've got oversteer, they're hitting the gravel. They're pushing like mad, and we've actually just gone past them the halfway point. We don't technically have long left in laps, but as we go over to Liam Robinson, who's still stood behind Timo Bakiovi, this is currently for 14th. But of course, we've still got drivers who haven't pitted. And there's Christoph Leister in the background. In fact, this is for 13th, to just be corrected. But of course, it's not really a battle for 13th. This is more a battle for, I would say, a position within the top 10. But there's so much action, I've kind of forgotten where they're fighting for.
Yeah, of course, with the changes to the fuel regulations and everything like that, we are going to be seeing people pitting closer to the middle point of the race, which is, of course, going to make things a little bit more confusing as far as who is actually where and, you know, net positions and whatnot. But I got to say, just going back to Phil Reed, I do not agree with that last-second decision that he made to not pit. Like I said, I think if I were Phil Reed, I'd be trying to get into the pits as soon as possible to try and get that damage taken care of, because he's just losing incredible amounts of time. I can only imagine that Kerry Nolden will be ahead of his teammate when Phil Reed finally does go into the pits, because he is certainly struggling. But right now we are focused once again on this ACR versus Robinson battle.
Yeah, I mean, Phil Reed definitely has the talent. It's just that car is damaged. I think if he does repair that damage, he can try and recover. I mean, he definitely has the pace to catch up to any drivers, of course, he loses the toe with, because, you know, you can see all these groups battling with each other, so he's bound to catch up. But, yes, let's focus now on this battle between ACR and Willows Grand Prix. It's extending after that lap 1 incident, but hopefully there's not going to be any contact this time. Battle for 13th, Timo Vakiavi, followed by Robinson and Leicester. That's I think that might be Daniel Baxter in the background there, as Robinson's looking to overtake on the inside. Look at him go, as Robinson's already made the overtake stick, as we get a nice shot of both cars. Timo Vakiavi taking nice chunks out of the curbing and just getting the power as quick as you can. And now it's just a matter of drafting and seeing if you can get close again.
Yeah, and again, I got to say, great camera placement there, coming down the start-finish straight. It seems every time the driver's going by that camera right before the braking zone for the first chicane, we get a wonderful shot of the cars overtaking one another, and really, really great to see that. It does seem Timo Valkyarvi not keeping up with Leon Robinson as well as you might think, and in fact, might be coming under attack from Christoph Leister here. Of course, Timo getting a bit of a tow from Robinson, so he will be difficult to pass for Christoph Leister. But of course, if Leister can get a good enough run onto one of the straights, he's certainly got a chance. And another wonderful low down camera angle. You know, and I was going to say before that one on Nolden's car certainly doesn't make him any faster, but it does make him a little bit more menacing. All those shots of us seeing him in the background there, and you just see that one lurking in the background, and you just know it's only a matter of time. And you could see actually that gap between Trowbridge and Phil Reed actually has grown quite significantly. I'm not sure Reed is getting a tow anymore. I think he may have actually dropped out of Trowbridge's slipstream. Robinson running very wide at Parabolica there, trying to get on the power as early as he can. I'd say that's about as early as you could possibly do it safely. And here comes Timo. He's going to get this pass done very, very easily, actually, as they come down the start-finish straight and into the braking zone for the first corner and the first chicane. And yeah, he just breezed right on by Mr. Robinson there and back up into that position. So the battle, as you mentioned, the battle between ACR and Willows Grand Prix continues on. We've got 8 laps still remaining in this race. Of course, Justin Brunner still leading as well. No issues for him. As far as we know anyway, no major issues. Certainly we would have cut to that if there had been any major issues, but it does seem that Brunner certainly has this one in hand and just needs to keep it on the black stuff for now.
Definitely. I think just getting some news on the battles ahead. It looks like both the Team AOR blue cars, as Justin Brunner is pitting now. You can just see where on the track Brunner is compared to these guys. But looks like both Team AOR blue drivers are ahead of this group. I think Nolden has jumped Phil Reed, and I think Kerry Nolden has also passed Nigel Spears, who's having an exceptional race. I think a top 5 finish, regardless of where he is in the top 5, will be fantastic for North Atlantic Racing, just to give her that lifeline for a top 10 finish. And yeah, there you can see Kerry Nolden holding off Nigel Spears. This is about currently for 6th. I still think we got someone else to pit, but it'll be Robert Plumley, as we can just see a Matikova who has yet to pit. And Brunner has just left the pits, as you just saw a few seconds ago. And again, Timo Vakiavi holding off Liam Robinson and Christoph Leister. And this is a very, I mean, they're really pushing, and Robinson's using a lot of the AstroTurf. And again, you can see Phil Reed in the foreground there. And we're wondering what Christoph Leister's thinking. He's been behind these drivers. I think he's been waiting for a prime opportunity, but he doesn't want to. I don't think he wants to be in the middle, because that's usually one of those danger zones. I mean, you have to look out for the driver ahead of you and hope that the driver behind you doesn't bang into you.
Yeah, the middle position is by far my least favorite. I don't know about anybody. I guess if you're one of those people that enjoys stress, then yeah, that could be fun. But yeah, attacking and defending all at the same time, very difficult. I think that'll be
Kerry Norden with his recent races, not helping himself at all with his championship contention or with his race results.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's up quite a bit. I mean, it's absolutely amazing when you consider what happened to Kerry Nolden at lap 1 to see where he is now in the top 10. It truly is fantastic. I mean, he is ahead of Phil Reed, in fact, at this point after they both made their stops. So Kerry Nolden is once again the leading AOR blue car. Phil Reed, though, is, I believe this is Morris. Yeah, it sure is Morris. And he's going to get the inside line for Ascari, downshifting very aggressively there. You can see the flames shooting out of the exhaust there as they shift down for Ascari. Coming out now, and Reed has very, very little of an advantage over Morris. You can see still a little bit of aerodynamic there, damage on Phil Reed's car. He does have the inside line for Parabolica, but he just doesn't have the speed to stay alongside Morris. Very close between them under braking. You could see Reed wasn't quite sure whether he was going to try and go alongside to the inside or not, but he opted not to and decided to stay behind, but running very close, in very close proximity through the Parabolica there. Of course, a very high-speed corner. Once again, Timu does seem to have an advantage over both Leister and Robinson in that Parabolica. That's something I've noticed a few laps of running now. Valkyarvi really seems to have the advantage in that Parabolica. I don't know if it's got something to do with aerodynamic or downforce differences between their setups, but Valkyarvi really just seems to have this under control, this three-way battle.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can run various different wing types. I mean, you can try and focus on getting a good exit and entry into the corners, or you can try and hope that reducing the downforce can keep the drivers behind you away, especially when they are in the draft. So, you know, I'm just wondering what Valkyarvi is doing with his, of course, with his setup. But again, I mean, it's too late to tell what exactly is done, but it seems to suggest that Valkyarvi has less downforce than Robinson, or Robinson still has some side effects of contact earlier on, especially with that tag from, I think it was Phil Reed earlier on, somewhere between laps 7 and 8, I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, and right now we're still watching, actually, this battle between Morris and Reed. That battle just continues on, but we're actually going to switch focus now to the other AOR blue car, Kerry Nolden, currently running right behind Michael Mittner as they approach the Parabolica. Wonderful corner here. Mittner with a little bit of front wing aerodynamic damage. No surprise, I'm sure a lot of our viewers have picked up already that front wing damage is fairly common in these cars. I mean, you can do it just from taking a curb a little bit too aggressively. And as we've seen, people are taking some of the curbing in this race very aggressively, sometimes not intentionally, but so the fact that we're seeing some front wing damage is no surprise whatsoever. We're on board with Daniel J. Morris. A wonderful shot here from the rear wing. We could really see the suspension working on the right side of that car as they come down the start-finish straight. He was defending the inside line, but once again, just really seemed to have that straight line speed over Phil Reed. And actually, I wasn't really. I wasn't aware, but that battle in the background there, that is of course the other battle that we've been covering so much. So we might even see these two-way battles turn into a single four-way battle if Morris and Reed here start battling enough. Certainly that could bring in Robinson and other cars as well. So certainly there's plenty to go in this race. Almost 5 laps still remaining for these guys. I'm sure it's probably closer to 4 laps for the likes of Justin Brunner, who is just so far up the road at this point. But Phil Reed just continues his quest to try and get by Morris here and make it stick. I mean, he's already gotten by, but he can't seem to keep the position.
No, and the longer this battle lasts, the more it benefits Nigel Spears and Alexander Trowbridge. Trowbridge just in the foreground there, he's in 5th position. Nigel Spears is ahead in 4th, and it might be worth noting as there it is. I was just about to say, Kerry Nolden is looking to overtake Stefan Chantel for 3rd position, which will be an amazing recovery for Kerry Nolden, considering he went all the way to the back. You can see way in the background there, Phil and Daniel still battling as Kerry Nolden looking to get past Chantel, get a podium for Team AOR Blue. They're fighting Vortex Sim Racing, represented solely by Justin Brunner, and his amazing results. And Nigel Spears isn't far behind himself. This is an amazing turn of events for North Atlantic Racing and Nigel Spears. Really having a great race as Kerry Nolden looking to overtake Stefan Chantel on the inside. Can he make it stick? Yes, he has. He's already made it stick. And we're heading straight into the battle for 7th or 6th. Phil Reed hanging on to that position as we just get a nice shot of Stefan Chantel still trying to overtake Phil, just overtaking Daniel in the background there. There's so much action. I don't think our race producer knows who to focus on.
Yeah, and something has seriously gone wrong with William Bush's car there. We could see him getting out of the way of that battle at the exit of the first chicane there. Yeah, it did appear as if Phil Reed was able to get past Morris. But I think he may have been passed back once again at that first. I'm not entirely sure. We are very focused on what's going on with Kerry Nolden at the moment. No surprise there. The reigning Season 1 champion as he climbs back up the order. I mean, it may not be a race win, but this is certainly one of the more impressive performances we've seen from Nolden, as we see. That's Daniel Baxter just getting it all wrong at the second chicane. He got loads of oversteer at the entrance for the corner, and that nearly sent him into the barrier, but he has managed to get away with it with no damage. But that is going to put Steve Kagerer right on the back of him, and not too far behind him is Andreas Merck as well. I'm not sure if Merck's on the lead lap or anything, but you can see.
I think he'll be on the on a lower lap because, of course, you had that incident. He looks like he's having a lot of trouble with traction there. Oh, Baxter, he's into the wall. I think that is out. That's a very unfortunate turn of events. The other British-Canadian racing driver having a much better race, but Baxter has just binned it into the wall. Hopefully, he might still score some points if enough drivers have already DNF'd, because he's within that 90% or at least the 75% limit of scoring some kind of points, as Stefan Chantel is still desperately trying to claim back 3rd. It would be an amazing result for him. But Kerry Nolden, I think with that car and his skill, is just going to hold on to 3rd position, which would again be a great result for him. Nigel Spears also a great result. I mean, you're seeing a lot of drivers and teams having great results today. It's an unprecedented round, which is mostly aided by the drafting and the nature of the circuit. It is a new circuit to iRacing, so drivers haven't had much experience with it. And of course, with the changes to the suspension on the Pro Mazdas, of course, it's a different type of feel. So again, this is really dicing up the field, and it's great to see the lower field and midfield drivers having these great opportunities to finish in the top 5 on the podium, even a top 10 finish, especially for teams such as North Atlantic Racing would be great. But of course, they're looking for a top 5, as we're looking at the battle for 7th, which has been joined by Leon Robinson and Teemu Vakiavi. This is going to get very good as we reach the final laps. I mean, this is an amazing race down here.
Yep, I hate to say I told you so, but this is exactly what I was predicting and hoping for earlier, is that these two separate battles would just merge into one single battle, and that seems to be exactly what is happening. Phil Reed, though, is ahead of Daniel Morris as it stands right now. Morris running very wide at the exit of Ascari there. Teemu blinking back into existence at the exit of Ascari, and it does look like Phil Reed is going to be defending the middle of the track as they approach the Parabolica. He moves back to the left-hand side thinking he's got Morris covered, but Morris moves up the inside at the Parabolica. I'm not sure if this is the best of choices. They're going side by side.
He's nearly made it stick. He looked like he got a lot of oversteer. That could have gone very wrong. He got a lot of oversteer entering that corner thanks to that braking. But Daniel J. Morris, I mean, this is make or break. These positions matter. I mean, we still got a long time to go until the end of the season, but any points are good points as these drivers battle for I think this is 7th position. Again, Liam Robinson, he's really closing up to Phil Reed. Teemu Vakiavi just waiting for his opportunity himself.
Yeah, a fantastic performance from Robinson. I'm sure he's going to be gutted at the end of the race to learn about that 20-second time penalty. But, you know, as a driver, you really got to focus on the positives of the race. And Robinson has shown some very impressive pace and also some racing skills as well. You know, he's defending, he's attacking, he's not just putting in fast laps. He is doing some proper racing here and doing quite well. And this is what he's got to show for it. He has closed up to the back of Morris and Reed. Of course, Morris is back in front of Reed. So those positions have changed once again, and Leanne Robinson, you got to be thinking, is sitting there in that cockpit and thinking, right, I can do this. You know, it's the penultimate lap. Well, for most of the cars, it's the penultimate lap. If you're American, then this is the final lap. But for everyone else in the league, it's the penultimate lap. So he's still got some time to try and pass Reed and Morris there. You can see he is pushing very, very hard, using all of the track and then some more, even on top of that. Here comes Reed. Morris is defending the inside line into the Parabolica. This is the second to last time that they're going to be going through the Parabolica. Next time around will be the final time, and you can see they're going side by side. Leanne Robinson might be able to carry a little bit more speed through that final corner and see if maybe he can gain a position or two into this first corner. Phil Reed does seem to have a little bit more top speed versus before he pit. He does seem to be struggling on the straights a little bit, but I think maybe now we can attribute that to setup rather than to damage.
That was a great overtake there. He just overtook him on the outside pretty much. That's an amazing overtake. And this is for 7th. This is for 7th position. These guys are going at it. They've got one more lap to go. And now Robinson looking all over the back of Daniel J. Morris and wondering what he can do. This would be an amazing, I guess, moral triumph, you could say. I mean, he's not going to get the points, but I mean, this is really going to help his reputation. His teammate is also looking. Phil Reed, he's trying desperately to get past Morris. Look at this! Phil getting into the gravel, and he's actually made the overtake stick on Morris. This is amazing driving. Morris getting really wide, getting a lot of oversteer. Robinson now looking to overtake himself. He's I wonder what's as Phil Reed again getting gravel. They're all hitting the gravel. This is an amazing battle, and it's still going. And Robinson on the outside, on the overtake. And again, we have to briefly cut to Justin Brunner. We have to acknowledge he has won the race. Hopefully we can cut back very quickly. Yes, we have. Daniel Morris has just held on, but he's gone really wide. He's gone into the gravel. He's actually lost it to he's lost it to Robinson, and he's actually lost it to Valchiavi as well.
Yep, for sure. Valchiavi's definitely going to have that one. I mean, he's going to get the slipstream from Robinson. There he is, slotting in behind Robinson. Phil Reed does appear to have that position in hand, though. It does look like he's going to win out in this four-way battle, which, I mean, lasted the entire race. Leanne Robinson, though, is going to come in just behind him, so he did get ahead of Morris. You can see Reed there just going very, very wide onto the AstroTurf. I got to say, I think Nolden had the best line through Parabolica out of everyone I saw today. Very controlled, never even close to going wide there. You can see just how excited Phil Reed is to hang on to that position. A very well-fought race for Phil Reed, who does end up finishing, like I said, at the head of that pack. I'm sure he's going to be very happy. But, of course, the big story of the day, I would say, is Nolden finishing ahead of Reed. And so at the end of the race, it is Justin Brunner that gets his first win with the AOR Pro Mazda Championship in just his 4th race after getting several podiums at Interlagos, Barber, and also Circuit of the Americas, nearly winning at Circuit of the Americas as well. Of course, that being taken away because of that refueling incident. Tom Van Dorn with a very impressive 2nd place, but 14.2 seconds behind Brunner. Kerry Nolden fighting back from last place to get that 3rd place position and fastest lap. Steven Chantel, I'm sure, will be happy with 4th. Ditto for Nigel Spears in 5th. Alexander Trowbridge in 6th. Phil Reed in the 2nd AOR blue car is down in 7th. Timu Valchiavi in 8th. He's followed by Daniel J. Morris and Christoph Leister rounding out the top 10. Robert Plumley is in 11th place, 48 seconds behind the leader. He was followed by Lee N. Robinson, of course, with that penalty, 58 seconds behind in the ends. He's followed by Steve Kagerer, Alexander Van Rompuy, Jamie Fluke, and Martinson as well. bringing up the rear, but last of the cars to not be lapped, finishing on the lead lap. He's followed by Michael Mittner, Jamie Hall, Daniel Baxter, and Andreas Merck, all of whom were lapped in the race. Daniel Baxter 3 times, Andreas Merck 6 times. Obviously a difficult race for them here at Monza. And bringing up the rear is the string of DNFs in this race, a total of 9 of them in total. William Busch, Peter Newman, Marcus Jensen, Oliver Connor, Patrick White, Vittorio Saltalamacchia, Evan Imre, Frederick Johansson, and Gino Vandenbroek, all failing to finish the race and failing to score any points as well. So I'm sure all of these guys will be looking for a turn of luck at the next race. In the Drivers' Championship, Justin Brunner hangs on to his lead. He's now 43 points ahead of Phil Reed, his closest rival, who of course did not score very well at Monza. Daniel J. Morris is in 3rd, and he's followed very closely by his teammate Jamie Fluke. They're sitting at 48 and 47 points respectively. Mark Jarvis not far behind either, with 44 points in 5th place. He's followed by former champion Kerry Nolden, the Season 1 champion, way down in 6th with 43 points, but certainly very close to the top 3 still. He's followed by Steven Chantel with 40 points. Tom Van Dorn moves up into 8th with 39 points. He's followed by Leanne Robinson and Marcus Jensen, who are just separated by a single point. Timo Valkyarvi is in 11th. He's tied on points with Alexander Trowbridge at 31 apiece. Then we have a 3-way tie for 13th with Patrick White leading that, all of them with 30 points alongside Daniel Baxter and Robert Plumley. They're followed very closely, just 3 points behind by Martinson, and just a point and a half behind him comes Merck. Just half a point behind him comes Newman, and then just 1 point below is Leister. And Govan Keeney in just his 2nd race, moving up into 20th position, sitting on 22 points now after missing the first 2 races. Keeney certainly going to be one to watch later on in the season if he keeps up the string of good results that like what we saw at Circuit of the Americas. Nigel Spears is in 21st place. He's tied with Govan Keeney, in fact, on 22 points. Michael Mittner tied with Evan Imre at 19 apiece. Gino Vandenbroek currently sitting at 16.5 points. Certainly he's going to be looking to improve on that in the upcoming races. Alexander Van Rompuy in 25th with 15 points. Frederick Johansson in 26th with 13 points. He's tied with Steve Kagerer. Harley Lewis is tied with Vittorio Saltalamacchia at 10 points. They're sitting in 28th and 29th places respectively, and they're followed by the new boy Oliver Connor for Oracle Racing, who currently sits at just 9 points in that 30th position. And bringing up the tail end of the Drivers' Championship, it is Jamie Hall with 9 points. He's tied as well, and Neil Lukens, the lowest of the people who have scored points, currently sitting on 6 points, and only 4 drivers yet to score points this season. William Busch, Phil Blythe, and surprisingly Gregor Reineck Jr. and Joshua W. Anderson. Josh Anderson, who of course had that fantastic race last season, nearly getting a podium at Mid-Ohio before being crashed out. So certainly, and ditto for Gregor Reineck Jr. I'm expecting they're looking for better results. In the teams championship, Red Devolution GP moving up into 1st. Jamie Fluke and Daniel J. Morris with 77 points to Justin Brunner's 74 points. Team AOR Blue is Kerry Nolden and Phil Reed. They're currently sitting in 3rd with 68 points. Red Devolution Racing in 4th with 58 points, thanks to Marcus Jensen and Peter Newman. British Canadian Racing sitting in 5th with 50 points. SDC Motorsports with 39. Avid Chronic Racing with 34.5. Team Tortoise with 32. They're a fan favorite purely for that picture of the tortoise with the rocket. Carbon Racing in 9th, way down in 9th with 30 points. And then moving on to the next set of 10, LM Rennsport in 11th. Team AOR Red in 12th, Willows Grand Prix in 13th, ACR Crekkan GP in 14th, Oracle Racing in 15th, North Atlantic Racing in 16th with just 10 points between Nigel Spears and Steve Kagerer, and 7-3 Motorsports bringing up the rear, which is one driver, of course, Phil Blythe, yet to score points so far in the championship. So that's going to do it for today's broadcast. I thank you all for joining us for this AOR Pro Mazda Championship Round 4. And we will see you next time at Round 5 at Bathurst, which should be a very interesting race. Obviously, very much 2 different circuits once you get past Turn 2 and then past Turn 19, Turn 18. at Forest's Elbow. So it should be very exciting. Really looking forward to that one. So thanks to everyone for watching. I've been Justin. Also thanks to Joe for co-commentating. Thanks to Fizzy and also Crekkan. Have a great day.